Well, that's it, and it will be all action then for the next 80 minutes or so. That's the French combination. 3 changes to their team. Siganya coming in at 8th man for Marc Session, Frank MESNEL for Christophe Delo, and BENEZECH for Louis Amare. You would have noticed the change of numbers there in the French combination, and England deciding to go with Ian Hunter on the right wing in place of Tony Underwood, and Steve Ojomoh is replacing Dean Richards, who's still struggling with a shoulder injury. Those are the replacements for today, and so many of those players have had to warm the replacement bench during this Rugby World Cup. Only Philippe Saint-Andrè and Frank MESNEL are the survivors from Rugby World Cup 87 in the French team. France were, of course, finalists in the first Rugby World Cup in 1987 in New Zealand and reached the quarterfinals in 1991. Support on the side does not only come in human form for France, that's their mascot. Well, the referee for today's encounter is Mr. David Bishop from New Zealand in his 25th international, and supporting him on the side will be Colin Hawke from New Zealand and Wayne Erickson from Australia. The reserve touch judge is Ian Rogers as Rob Andrews starts this play off. Olivier ROUMAT is the man catching. England swarm in. Galti just looking to get some motion for France. Are France going to be allowed the latitude that they will be searching for during this match? But that ball was held on the ground.
Wonderful take there by ROUMAT there as he went up for that with great support from his teammates, but not normally do we see French trying to drive from inside their 22 and take the ball outside of the 22-meter area, and the resultant penalty goes the other way after some fine possession.
Well, I wonder if that isn't just an omen, Tony, that France are going to look to really play this ball wide today and get the big men of England moving across the field. Possibly represents real chances for them. Andrew, with the help of kicking guru David Allred, has achieved great success for England. There was a period where he never even kicked for England, but such is his accuracy and his strike rate these days that he's the #1 kicker for his country. We want that to swing in, but it started too early.
Seems to have struggled with his kicking in the last 2 games, Gavin. He almost seems to kick it a little bit too quickly with that right foot and just tends to hook it a little bit.
Well, kicking is all about timing and precision. Frank MESNEL and Thierry Lacroix just throwing the ball between each other, then the big kick from onto Michael CATT. England's tactics have become well known from those catches. Emile Ntamack takes the catch. Big punt out there from Philippe Saint-Andrè, who's playing on the left wing. Well, you'll see that Emile Ntamack is playing with a number 15 jersey, and fullback Jean-Luc Sadoursny is playing with a number 14 jersey. Well, Moore has lots of options in this line. Out Johnson in the front, Bayfield in the middle, and Rodby at the back. But it's the French that take it away. That great servant of French rugby, Olivier ROUMAT. This is good play by France. Kept that ball available.
As you were saying earlier, possibly this afternoon we may see a lot of running rugby from the French side, and perhaps coach Pierre Berbizier just given the players an open hand and saying, get out there, enjoy yourselves, but while saying that it does lend itself to a great deal of errors, but at the same time we should see some exciting rugby from the French outfit.
Well, there's not much difference in the pack weights, but France have picked Frank MESNEL at fly half, and he is a running fly half. So opportunities for them, they will be taken if they can stretch it. That's Rob Andrew's punt. Well, Rob Andrew is the one man that can foil those French thrusts with that boot of his. A very educated boot. In the middle of the picture there was Jack Rowell, and that's Rob Andrew.
And of course, when a fly half kicks your forwards into position, it really is a psychological boost for your forwards. They always seem to be going forward, moving in a direction towards the try line.
Well, we must remember too, we're playing at altitude, so the ball travels further. Big jump in the front there by Olivier Merle. Well, the French have the put in the scrum, and the England midfield will be certainly hard pressed to keep an eye on possible running opportunities by France. Galti. Back it goes to SADOURNY. Lovely footballer, Jean-Luc SADOURNY.
And in saying that the French may well run from any place on the field, remember last week Walter Little started a wonderful movement for the All Blacks against England from deep inside the 22 that resulted in a try. So the French will be aware that they can run at their opposition, possibly look for some big holes.
France have taken the big men in the front row out, Jason Leonard and Victor Bogu. To the back it goes, Caban with a tap, but England come away with it. Well, that was a knock forward by England, so France will have the benefit of the put-in. Just keep an eye on those two front rows there, two very, very solid front rows, good technique. Galti looks to bridge that advantage line and virtually gets across it. France can certainly take on a pack of forwards if they need to. SADOURNY's kick through. This is Michael CATT. A bit of a change for Michael CATT too, with the ball running a little bit further, a little bit quicker and travelling further. He's going to have to readjust himself. That's Martin Johnson in the front. Lots of experience for the solicitor from the England side. Now do England look to get that maul going and then play off with the big men. Morris does well to get away. That's the kick from Ben Clark, and back for it is SADOURNY. Well, sometimes one wonders just how DEWI Morris manages to slip through those gaps, Tony.
Well, he's a useful player, as DEWI Morris. He certainly in this World Cup has been one of the success stories of this England team, and very, very fine link between backs and forwards, and often gives Rob Andrews that little bit of extra space to get those super touch kicks in.
That's despite having come to Rugby World Cup 95 as second string behind Kieran Bracken, but he's taken that position and made it his own. This is Rob Andrew. England caught napping behind the advantage line, but French go over the top.
And just as we were saying that we may see an open, expansive game from France, it looks to be that England have been given the open hand, and Rob Andrews in an unaccustomary position of running from inside his half. Would normally have looked to put the big one up, look for his men running onto the fullback in SADOURNY. On that occasion he chose to run it, and the resultant penalty, well, another chance for him to stick. In fact, Michael CATT is going to stick England into French half of the field.
Rob Andrew just took a little knock, so that's a good choice of kicker, and Michael CATT was punting a little bit early on and doing it rather well. Been a real fairy tale rise for the South African born fullback. That's the man who was awarded the MBE by the Queen last week, and that's Martin Johnson with Martin Bayfield behind him. Great jump in the front by Johnson, but he was lifted. The new line-out laws, of course, don't allow you to support the jumper until he's caught the ball. Frank MESNEL. It was a good option from MESNEL because he was closer to the far touchline.
The weekend referee indicates that there was some lifting involved, and he says to the players, none of that. Player can get himself in the air with no assistance.
Bit of a seesaw in the line-outs, with both teams securing good possession. That's Olivier ROUMAT. Possibly has a little bit of blood on his arm.
May well have picked up what we commonly call a roasty. On the harder fields of the Highveld, you pick up those grass burns, and quite obviously last week at Kings Park in the wet of Durban, there was no chance of him picking up one of those, Gavin.
Well, despite that great and successful career, this would be a first for Olivier ROUMAT if France beat England today. Clash of the two Northern Hemisphere teams. Bayfield. Plenty of basketball in that line out. Is there an advantage for France? The referee waits for it, he gets it. LACROIX, France also guilty of playing behind their advantage line, and Will Carling and Jeremy Guscott were up very quickly. Well, those are great benefits to a team in a mall, which became a ruck there to just get them players driving together, Tony, and the French pack are working well in unison.
Far better pressure there from both Will Carling and Jeremy Guscott in the middle. They obviously learnt their lesson against New Zealand. You've got to kill the space very quickly, and that they did.
The back, the pick up, and then this is SADOURNY. He's so dangerous when running. Once again, Galti. Well, that was the little chip kick through there from SADOURNY, playing with the number 14 on his back. He's always looking to get himself into the line. There have been an enormous number of lineouts in these first 11 minutes of the match. Of course, plenty of kicking from both teams with the ball travelling further. This is Frank MESNEL. Just worms his way out of the initial tackles from England.
Frank MESNEL just showing how strong he is in the thighs there. He's a useful player playing at fly half today. Played a lot of his rugby at centre as well. As we saw earlier, has a useful boot as well.
Well, it was 9 years ago when he made his debut for France in the same position at fly half, playing in his third Rugby World Cup. Of course, he has played at centre as well for France. It's good ball for England. Rob Andrews thriving in the rarefied atmosphere up here on the Highveld.
Well, Rob Andrews is certainly enjoying the high altitude. As you said earlier, the ball travels forever. And on that occasion, he's put England right onto the attack, deep into French territory. That's Jean-Michel Gonzalez, the hefty hooker for France. Also a man of great experience. At the back, Laurent Caban and Ben Clark for England. They're the men with the job of getting to the point of breakdown as quickly as possible. Well taken by Olivier MERLE. French looking to open up with Tercer Puesto. Very competent kicker of the ball is Tercer Puesto, whether it's out of hand or at the poles. And such is the versatility that man too can play and has played at fly half for France. Tercer Puesto coming into this evening's match trails Gavin Hastings by 1 point in the log standings for point scorers, and I'm sure given the opportunity to kick for goal this evening, he should score that valuable point.
England have done most of the throwing in the line-outs, which is an indication of France having played a largely defensive role in these opening minutes. OJOMOH came to the middle, and neither he nor Bayfield could get it, but it comes out England's side. This is the launch from ANDREW. Well taken by SADOURNY, and the French pick this up. This is Ntamack. He's a big man, is Emile Ntamack. Once again coming out on the England side, the French guilty of not executing the right ball retention. Well, ANDREW's taken another smack in the back. The man who's kicked the most drop goals in the history of rugby holds the record. Tim Rodber just has a little peek, as does Ben Clarke from that scrum. Back inside to Berbizier. The French are getting good ball from the rucks and mauls on occasions, and that just gives the scope for Frank MESNEL to probe.
Well, good platform laid by the French players there as they use their scrum half to take the ball around the sides and playing with their big loose forwards in Berbizier, who's in this World Cup certainly been one of their major contributors to the success of this French team.
So many teams these days employing men who can play in the lock position at loose forward. That's the French bench. This is France's first real probe into the 22 of England. England continuing success in terms of controlling their own throw-ins at the line-out. That's Morris's hoist. Well, very little real excitement in these first 15 minutes. Both teams just feeling each other out. France decide to go with the short line out. Kept CALIFANO in there, along with Berbizier and the two big men. Well taken by Berbizier. Galti probes blind. This is Gonzalez. Great running off the ball by SADOURNY. France just lacking close in support. Ian Hunter is the man to save it for England.
SADOURNY then it joins the line beautifully and creates a super attacking opportunity for France there. But again, their ball retention skills just letting them down at the moment critique. And Ian Hunter rescues the day for England.
That's Jean-Luc SADOURNY.
4-2.
Wonderful to have been able to learn your rugby under the tutorship of Serge Blanco. France can't control initially. Well, that'll be a scrum down there with attacker's ball. So this will be a true test for England now. France might well put all feet back in the 8-man scrum. The England pack have very seldom been found wanting in these types of situations. Siganya at the back, just controlling for Galti. Little flick pass. Can France force their way over? Well, almost inevitably, England were caught in an offsides position. That ball was well controlled at the back by Siganya, playing his first international for France today at 34 years of age. Well, Tony, THIERRY LACROIX, his success rate at Rugby World Cup has been quite outstanding with the boot, so very little choice there for Philippe Saint-Andre but to take the kick at goal.
Yes, absolutely, Gavin. He came to the World Cup possibly as not a renowned world kicker, up against the likes of our own Joel Stransky, Andrew Mertens from New Zealand, and well, he's proved that he's the man that really has created all sorts of records here.
We must also remember that Gavin Hastings had the benefit of 1 or 2 real big scores, and Lacroix just steadily chased him all the way through Rugby World Cup 95. He has the benefit, of course, of these extra 2 matches. Nevertheless, take nothing away from the French midfielder. That familiar 2 steps back and then the 4 forward, but he's also pulled it.
In ideal kicking conditions this evening, not a breeze here at Loftus Versfeld. One would have thought the kickers would take full advantage of it.
Well, I'm sure both teams are enjoying the fact that despite the fact that they're at altitude, they are playing into the depths of the early evening here in Pretoria. Andrew decides to go with the longer drop. That's Galti. France not scared to take contact amongst the backs. Long pass there to Lacroix. England look to recover. England under lots of pressure. That was good play by Ian Hunter. Once again, Morris just seemingly having so much room to move in. This is Guscott and Rory Underwood. Great tackle on Guscott from Frank Menel.
Good to see England trying to run out of those defensive situations, and indeed Rory Underwood may have been a little well suited to taking his man on the outside. He has enormous pace, and shown in this World Cup that together with his brother they're 2 of the quickest wings in the competition.
Califano, Gonzalez and BENEZECH for France in the front row. That's the pickup from Steve Ojomoh. He does well to get over the advantage line. Can England make something of this? That was poor release, and then it comes out France's way. Philippe Saint-Andre, the world's most capped player. Surely will be the last Rugby World Cup for him. Well, there have been a few turnovers, Tony, because this time England have got it.
Yes, indeed, both types of game plans that these sides play demand great ball creation and great ball retention skills. And right now, neither of them able to hold on to the ball in those critical moments.
That's Jeremy Guscott down in the midfield. We've seen so little of those creative abilities of Jeremy Guscott during Rugby World Cup 95. Scored plenty of tests in his, plenty of tries in his first tests, and well, there's been a dearth of them, but there's been a change in the game plan of England, and that's probably the result.
And of course, important to remember that he came to the World Cup as one of those players to watch, the great kingpin in the 3-quarter line for England, and he's been marked out of the game. He's been watched very closely by the opposition and given very little room to move in.
A great tussle between him and Carling and Lacroix and Philippe Saint-Andre. Brian Moore for the umpteenth time. Looking for the big men, but it comes out once again on the French side. Lacroix kicking for space and finding it.
Well, just out of picture, Will Carling is just over with his forwards, and he says to them, come on chaps, line out ball, we need it. It's our best source of attacking opportunities, and it's not forthcoming.
Well, that's a good catch from Martin Johnson. England looking for motion and finding it with Tim Rodber. Good ball from Morris and Clarke. It was the third drive there from England. Can they do something with this now? Looking to open up, but that's the kick is against Lacroix. Now Morris. And there's a huge call from Ian Hunter for the ball on the far side. That's the tap down from Saint-Andre. Well, out of picture, Steve Ojomoh has gone down rather heavily after that last thrust by the English forwards. Well, Steve OJOMOH, he's quite happy. Was he looking for a little breather? Both him and Victor Bogu with Nigerian roots. Two very, very physical players. That's a good solid scrum from France. England get away with it. Looking to run with Guscott. Good tackle in the midfield. Rodba. Michael CATT is left alone there with Ian Hunter. There's not much space for him to move in. That's PHILIPPE SAINT-ANDRE. It was good defensive work by the French wing. Galti. It's a good bounce for Galti. Back foot is Ben Clarke and Ian Hunter. Well, it's amazing to see the man with the number 14 just having left the scene there. That was Jean-Luc SADOURNY. He's just all over the field, isn't he, Tony?
Well, he's a fantastic player. He showed last week in the wet conditions of Durban. He was very safe under the high ball. We've seen already this evening how he joins the line at pace, and he may be the critical factor to break the England defence.
Well, France haven't thrown the ball in as much as England have, but they've certainly robbed them on occasions, and they've been secure with their own throw-ins. That's because of that man, Gonzalez. Big take by Berbizier at the back. Difficult to get momentum against the big men of England, but then Morris once again comes away with it. This is Hunter, Martin Johnson, ROUMAT, Rob Andrew. Well, that was really quite a messy situation for both teams, and then some relief for England. Well, they want to get out of their half of the field. Well, that's the scoreline then. Just 14 minutes left in this first half, and who would have said that there would have been no scoreline, but both teams probing and looking to feel each other out. All the big men in the line out. England, that's Bayfield. Well, France went through that line out. They crossed the middle line at a very early stage as Martin Bayfield went up for it.
Although we've had no score here at Loftus Versfeld, it is important to remember that it's only 4 or 5 days since both of these sides faced some very stiff opposition, and no doubt feeling the effects. Just look at the French forwards barging, coming right across the line, and the referee indicates, well, you're due a penalty against you.
You must remember that the victors today will have automatic entry into Rugby World Cup 99 in Wales. So besides that point, and of course the pride for the nation, is it going to rest on the shoulders of that man, Rob Andrew for England, and THIERRY LACROIX for France? Didn't strike his first kick well, Andrew, but this is a better one.
Rob Andrew got a far better kicking stroke on that one, and as we said earlier, when he does force the kicks, he tends to hook them a little bit, and that time stroked it super.
Well, will that now release the pressure on the England team? Many people were talking of this being a high-scoring game. Well, it's been far from that. LACROIX decides to go left with a poor kick. Well, France really haven't been able to stretch the game, Tony, today to get the big England forwards moving across the field, tire them out. England have defended well in the midfield, closed them down a lot quicker than England did against New Zealand last week. David Bishop getting the 2 packs in a better organised fashion. Morris, he's been an absolute gem of a performer for England in this World Cup. It's a great kick for England. Michael CATT, he'll know a little bit more about these conditions than most teams, but England will also remember having beaten South Africa last year on this same field so convincingly. No one can write off those men in the blue jerseys. France, that's Olivier Merle in the front. Great skills, great creativeness if they are allowed the latitude that they haven't been able to find yet. ROUMAT can't take it. That's Caban coming away. Galti. Once again, MESNEL using Lacroix, who's closer to this touchline.
Although we've seen no running from the England side yet, we do know that they are capable of scoring very good tries from the support of their loose forwards, and indeed in the second half against New Zealand last week, they showed that when they run at the opposition, they're capable of scoring a lot of points. So let's hope we see the game expand a little more and a lot more action from both sets of three quarters.
Well, both teams will need a more solid foundation than they've got thus far in the game. Remember that France have robbed England of some possession in the lineouts. France have been more successful on their own throw-ins. That's the launch from Rob Andrew. SADOURNY comes in, well taken by him. Well, France have the benefit of the penalty for a man being taken away. That's big Frank MESNEL, the oldest man in the French team.
It was Jeremy Guscott there, just chasing up and not really focusing on the ball, and just manages to get a shoulder under the behind of SADOURNY, and the referee judges that a penalty.
Gonzalez with the throw-in. Berbizier so useful at the back of the line out. Galti finds some space. It's a run on from CALIFANO. Well, Olivier ROUMAT went in there with the ball, and France will be a little bit concerned that maybe they're not bridging that advantage line quickly enough, because that ball will go to England.
Well, encouraging to see France using the ball at the back of the line out. That's where they've proved the most dangerous. They have the very good services of Berbizier, played at lock and familiar with the 8th man position as well.
OJOMOH controls well for England at the back. Quite incredible how much space DEWI MORRIS has been given, but give credit to the loose forwards. This is Ntamack and then SADOURNY. Serge Blanco would be proud of that man's performances in Rugby World Cup 95.
Those are the sort of tactics that we have come to expect from England, the little chip kicks over the top, and with the speed of Rory Underwood running onto them.
Interestingly, France keep Abdel Benazzi in the line-out in place of Olivier MERLE in the front against Martin Johnson. Martin Bayfield is pushed in the back. Well, he has another chance for Rob Andrew. Also quite incredible how with only 4 men in the line-out that somebody can push somebody else and expect to get away with it.
Well, you're right, Gavin, but I must say that Martin Johnson there may well have won an Oscar award for that little one. He tended to throw himself forward a little bit. Well, the referee bought it. See if we can pick it up in the slow motion here. A little bit of grouping there by the French and English side, and, well, Johnson goes to ground.
Rob Andrew will be encouraged by the fact that he'll kick the ball further here at altitude than he would have done at the coastline. Struck his second one better. This is the third. That looks good enough from Rob Andrew. No, it's just swung past the left-hand upright.
When watching him kicking this evening, you almost get the impression that he doesn't have the confidence that the ball's going to fly far enough. He seems to be hitting it very hard, and he should know from hitting his punts up here at the Highveld that the ball's going to travel much, much further than at the coastline.
Long drop in from MESNEL. Andrew. It's become so familiar from England, those big launches, and then SADOURNY takes always the fleeting glimpse to see whether they can run the ball. The French, they just love to run it, but England have regrouped their defense well. That's Ian Hunter, well taken by him. Can he make something of this to OJOMOH? OJOMOH only knows one path. Morris to Clarke, and then big Tim Rodber. Now can England spread it wide? Carling. Well, Lacroix and Philippe Salah have tackled so well in this match. That's Victor Bogu.
Big Victor Bogo joining the run for the ball there, and what a big man he is. I just happened to see him in the hotel this afternoon, and quite incredible that a man of that size gets around the field with such mobility. As you mentioned earlier, started his rugby on the wing.
Well, that he did. He's now up in the front of the engine room, but territory and possession belong to England, with very little conversion of points. They haven't threatened the French line, and only once have France been close to the England line. So it's cat and mouse for the two teams from competing for victory for the Northern Hemisphere. That's Olivier Merle. He'll have to leave the field with that cut on his left eye. The man who would replace him will be Olivier BROUZET. That's the message is that it'll be a temporary replacement because Olivier Merle will get patched. Struggle continues. That was good play by the English team in terms of stopping Galtey getting that ball out. And they've won possession.
So often we've seen little DEWI Morris there stifle a pass from the back of the scrum. And on that occasion, Frank Menel just taking his eye off the ball and a little knock on gives England the advantage.
Well, England got the confidence to run at the French with the backs. They brought Michael CATT into the back line. Well, England are penalised and France waste no time at all coming away with it. Benazzi can't take. Now, it's quite unusual, I suppose, to see handling errors from France. But they're such opportunists with opportunities to run.
The possession then lost in play just shows you how many times we've seen the ball turned over. And France at this stage lost 13 odd balls to England, and that gives England the opportunity to run at you 13 odd times. Surely those opportunities should be converted to points.
Well, Rob Andrew has usefully got England on occasions into the French 22, and England will be concerned with their line-out possession, which has been rather scant, particularly on their own throw-ins. Now, can Morris marshal these forwards to get some forward motion? Well, that doesn't come for them, but Galtey can't take. David Bishop in his 25th international. Just a little word there with Fabien Galtey. Not too many scrums in the match today, but plenty of line-outs. Almost a carbon copy of the last move there.
Well, in England's put in there, they really are channeling the ball back very quickly to the back, Steve Ojomoh, but in doing so, they're not able to hold the scrum steady. And that useful quick ball to the back really not being utilised by DEWI Morris.
2-5-4-1.
BROUZET moves up to the front against Martin Johnson. Ojomoh can't take. Well, the referee's message is to tidy it up, guys, and that's definitely what's needed. Game just lacking the flow that we expected from both teams. It was better control from Ojomoh at the back. Andrew. SADOURNY comes in, takes beautifully. France will want to make sure that they've retained possession of that ball. SADOURNY will have to hold on to with his life, which he did. This is a little chip kick from MESNEL. Rory Underwood coming back. That was a dangerous kick by France. Now it's Rory Underwood's turn to make sure that that ball doesn't get lost. Well, England were required to use it because that was a maul, and the pressure was coming from the French team as Olivier MERLE makes his way back onto the field.
Well, wasn't that an outstanding catch by SADOURNY there? And one would expect that Rob Andrews would now know that the strength of this man at the fullback, he's not going to falter under those high balls, and perhaps England should not persist with that avenue.
Well, that's been part of their game plan in Rugby World Cup 95. Making changes is never that easy as Caban takes the pick up. Galti also finds himself with some space, not enough support. France looking to play wide. Lacroix, great running by Benazzi, and then Caban. As big and strong as Laurent Caban. Saint-Andre. France slowly getting into the game, and that was a great tackle from OJOMOH. Salah. Now, what do France do? Because all the backline players are grouped on this side. Saint-Andre. Lacroix does well. Gets it to the big men in the middle. That's Olivier MERLE. Not too many men on the far side. This is MESNEL. And straight into Victor Obogu, but no bother for France because they have the penalty for England being offsides in the back line. And that came about because of the pressure that the Tricolours exerted.
For the first time this evening, we see France showing the true skills of their back line. They really had some outstanding attacking opportunities there, with Saint-Andre joining the line. After all that, unfortunately, no points, and Lacroix is left with the opportunity to score the penalty.
Well, Laurent Caban just got a little winded there, one feels. Well, Lacroix has the easiest of kicks, and that's no problem for the French centre. 3 points all then. We're into the referee's optional time in the first half. Certainly has been an incredibly tight tussle. Most of the rugby has been played in the middle of the stadium. Andrew's hoist taken beautifully by ROUMAT. He's their primary catcher from the kick-ins for France. Well, SADOURNY won't be too bothered about the distance he got there, because that is the half-time whistle then, with England getting the first blood with the penalty from Rob Andrew, followed by that penalty from Thierry Lacroix. That is Pierre Berbizier, the coach of France, and there will be words from both coaches to get them in action in the second half. Well, match number 31 in Rugby World Cup 95 here in South Africa will continue. France will kick off in the second half. That's Martin Bayfield. Well, we've got the floodlights on full here at Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria. Certainly got a lot cooler here, so the players would be enjoying that. Lacroix with the start. Taken by Bayfield. He's a big man, is Martin Bayfield. 2.05 meters, Martin Bayfield, and well, that's Jean-Michel Gonzalez going down. Took a terrible knock as the English player stepped all over him, but he's back on his feet again. He's a really tough man, is the French hooker. Well, this is going to be the message then to the England camp. That's Ben Clarke being spoken to by David Bishop.
David Bishop is familiar with the rucking laws from New Zealand, and certainly those laws over in that country are quite fiercely watched. He just warns Big Ben Clarke there that you're in the wrong, don't do it again, treat it as a warning.
Well, with a dearth of scoring opportunities, Tony, one can only assume that these kicks are taking on great importance for both teams. Both Lacroix and Rob Andrew of England have been unsuccessful with attempts, as well as the solitary success for both teams on only one occasion. Started the right hand upright. That's a better kick from Lacroix. Yes, it's just got inside the left hand upright. So France are in the lead for the first time in the match.
Well, the slow motion here just reveals Ben Clarke going in with the shoes there. And, well, fortunately no bodily harm, but Gonzalez, the man who received the action of those boots, unfortunately he's back in play.
It's a lovely dropout from Rob Andrew. Tim Rodber's the first man there. And France come away with it. This is MESNEL. France regrouped well there, and give credit to MESNEL, because he did extremely well to maintain possession and give SADOURNY that platform. The French cockerel, of course, is well known throughout world rugby. That's a rather colourful one, that. We're going to the back. That was a good jump from OJOMOH. England looking to open up with a Bogu. Standing off well was a Bogu. Now Rob Andrew. And Neil Intermac launched himself straight into Michael CATT. Now Ben Clarke. Little tip kick with the left foot. Back foot is Saint-Andre. Philippe Saint-Andre has the benefit of that terrific pace, whether it be in defence or attack.
Well, that was a try-saving tackle by Intermac on the far side. He knew that he had three men on one, and quite rightly so, he chose to take the man receiving the ball. And thus, well, England lose another opportunity to look at the try line.
Well, OJOMOH was useful in the last line out for England, going along unconventional lines. This time it's better control, but there was a knock-on from England.
And out of picture, the England back line, including Will Carling, they hands on hips. They can't believe that their forwards are not giving them the kind of possession that they've become so used to receiving from the lineouts.
Well, England get themselves well organised in terms of tight defence. Back foot is MESNEL. Certainly had enough time, but that's not a good kick from him. This is Michael CATT. Almost familiar launch back for SADOURNY, and then big Olivier ROUMAT decides to take it himself. I'll give credit there to DEWI Morris for the big charge on Terry Lacroix. He's given absolutely everything for his country in Rugby World Cup 95, has DEWI Morris. 44,000 people have packed here into Loftus Versfeld here in Pretoria. Short line out for England. Johnson's tap. That's good ball for England if they can make something of this. Back foot is Will Carling. Once again, Andrew has the opportunity to launch his backs. That's Guscott. This is good running by Andrew. for the third time now. Can England make something of this Rodber? Just a little lack of creativity in the back line of the England side, but one must also remember that there weren't enough backs there. They'd got sucked in on the far side. Once again, Andrew, that's a little tap kick from him. Unkind bounce initially, and then Guscott keeps it in field. This is lovely running by Emile Ntamak. Now France have the chance, but they'll bring some sanity back with that punt from SADOURNY. Well, Laurent Caban was standing on the far side, just shrugging his shoulders because the ball didn't come his way, and that such is the desire of the French to run the ball from anywhere on the field. Martin Bayfield down on his knees. The players will relish the opportunity of a breather.
While Martin Bayfield receives some attention, there's some pretty ineffective play by England there. They just couldn't cross the advantage line, and some good tackling by France. But really what they need is for someone to straighten up the line, someone to punch from the outside. And Michael Catt, really, we haven't seen too much of the man. Not much opportunity to join the line, and perhaps needs to join up.
OJOMOH again helps from the line out. Guscott. He almost says, look, I'm tired of not getting this ball. I want it and I'm going to make something of it. This is Carling. So two great tackles there on the England players. Well, the good pressure has been coming from England in the last 5 minutes, and they've been rewarded with that penalty. The French were playing the ball on the ground.
And although that was their third phase possession there, England still haven't crossed the advantage line. They're still placed 20-odd meters, 20-odd feet outside the 22 area, and should provide a relatively easy attempt for Rob Andrew. Carling sells the dummy inside, and just look at the French defense. They're in numbers. Benazir always there to make those crucial tackles. And you can see his involvement is just from the wrong side. He is on his knees. The law says you've got to be on your feet.
Well, Rob Andrew's going to kick this goal with his captain lying alongside him with what appears to be a chest injury. Such are his concentration levels that's not a problem for him. 6 points all then. 2 penalty goals apiece from Rob Andrew and Thierry Lacroix. Well, are we going to see a little bit more action in these last 30 minutes? It won't be for lack of trying from those men, the French. Bayfield again, he takes well, does Martin Bayfield. Rodber. Tim Rodber finds some space because he was way behind the advantage line. This is good ball for England. Guscott, Rory Underwood. Well, the French certainly just swamped the English team on the outside. There's been some very aggressive tackling from the men in blue.
Well, no more aggressive tackle than will we see from Philippe Saint-Andre there as he went on Rory Underwood. The French defence has really been outstanding. They've closed the space very quickly, and although England have looked pretty effective with the ball, they just haven't managed to gain the yardage in terms of crossing the advantage line.
Tony, I guess that there's those two packs of forwards who fought a hefty tussle here today are feeling rather tired. We've spoken about mental and physical tiredness. This was Underwood. Now watch Philippe Saint-Andre. Just almost picks him up and then reverses him. Salah is a really great defender. One of the greatest centre three-quarters that World Rugby has seen. Here's Bayfield for the second time down on his knees. 2.05 meters, big man. There's some big men in the French side too. That's Benazir, MESNEL. Will the French find better rhythm now? MESNEL going back inside again. Well, he's looking for a tandem operation with Abdellah Steve Benazzi.
MESNEL probably a little bit guilty there of taking the ball on just once too often. Benazzi in the first occasion was there in support. And for a big man who's used to playing at lock, it's incredible to see his speed around the field.
Both scrums have stood solidly in this match. Now, what does Rob Andrew do? In fact, Michael CATT looks to open up. That was positive play by England. Give them credit for that. SADOURNY has got yards of distance to make. That's the sort of confidence that England would want in terms of being able to move the ball around and try and find space against a very spirited defensive pattern from the French. 28 minutes left, 6 points all then. England and France locked in this huge tussle for the playoff. Gonzalez has been accurate for most of the game with the help there of Olivier ROUMAT. SADOURNY.
Some wonderful copybook line-out play there from the French as they took the ball cleanly, drove in, sucked in the English opposition, and in the end providing a very, very clean ball to MESNEL. That's the kind of possession they'll be looking for.
1724. 1724.
Once again, OJOMOH helps in the line-out. Almost unmarked, and Morris comes away. Such a small man with such a big heart. Not much latitude for the England side. Now, can Rory Underwood make something of this? Well, that is really disappointing for the England pack of forwards, because that seemingly was good possession for England, Tony, and nothing was made of it.
Well, it was excellent possession for England, and unaccustomed as we are to seeing Rory Underwood in the almost fly half position there, just showed that he should possibly stick out on the wing. The kick not proving to be that effective.
Well, maybe he's just getting a bit frustrated because the ball hasn't really come his way in this match. ROUMAT's the winner again. France moving it down with Caban. This is SADOURNY. Caban again with a take. Good support play from France. MESNEL and Silla in tandem. Well, once again there's a turnover. This is Ben Clark. Well, what does big Victor Abogu do? He's not going to put it on the boot. He's going to belt in. England needed that. Ian Hunter's kick. Well, for the second time now, England must be kicking themselves, because mentally there's nothing worse than that for a pack of forwards.
Absolutely. If a pack of forwards, as we said earlier, psychologically they love it when they're going forward, but when you're going backward, well, it's not that useful. And we saw some wonderful running there from France. Really, they showed that they, given the opportunity, they can create some exciting moments.
France looking to come back into their own in this match. Benazzi at the back, looking to take on that English pack almost by himself initially. Now this is MESNEL. That's good ball for France. Did they choose the right option in coming to the near side? ROUMAT looking to just wear down the English pack of forwards. This is good ball from them. Lacroix on the inside. But once again, it's the saviour Morris for England. Well, big pressure there coming on the England side. And the French in the last few minutes, Tony, have really looked like they want to take on the England side by all the running game.
Well, they have. They've suddenly got a spark in them, and for the first time we see Thierry Lacroix runs from some depth. He runs into a hole, and were it not for the little nuggety DEWI Morris, it may well have resulted in a try for France. Pierre Berbizier, he's up there, he's encouraging.
Well, interesting thing there was the French were considering running that ball, and I think their coach stood up and shouted down to them to take the kick at goal. because that's what they need, points on the board.
How often haven't we seen these two sides locked in a similar position? A couple of points separating them, and in the end it's the kicking at goal that decides the winner. The Five Nations certainly has proved that France have the ability to score more tries, but England have been more useful with the boot. Rob Andrew often keeping England in the hunt. Perhaps Thierry Lacroix may well get the better of him today.
Well, it's not easy to kick with a whole lot of wires around the place, but Lacroix has dispatched them. Well, he curled this ball in from the right-hand upright. His most difficult kick today. Lacroix, he's hit that beautifully. Well, that vindicates the vociferous shouting of the French coach in respect of taking the kick at goal. They know the abilities of that man, Thierry Lacroix.
Well, Pierre Berbizier was nicknamed at the 1987 World Cup tournament as Le Patron, which means the playmaker. And that'll be useful to this French team.
Rodber goes up, England looking for a spark. They're behind for the second time in the match. Galtier on the inside to Intermac. He's a big man, is Emile Intermac. This is great running by France. Cabin, now here's a real chance for France. Can they make something of this? SADOURNY on the outside, it's Lacroix. And this is Philippe Saint-Andre. Well, just suddenly the French have come alive. And credit must go to their forwards that are generating the possession that the backs want.
And by the same token, Laurent Cabans, we've seen on the two last attacking movements by the French, he's been the link between forwards and backs. Really a wonderful player, lots of speed, lots of ball ability. And just before making those vital crunching tackles from England, he releases the ball, and that's what's got the French backs away.
Well, their handling skills are well known, and even with some of the forwards in the back line, Cabin in particular, it's been a real live wire in the last 10 minutes. That's a great take from Olivier Merle. Now, can they get the surge on the English line? English defence is also so well organised. Are they over? Have France scored? Yes, the try has been given. Well, Tony, we're going to have to see who scored that try, because there's a massive bodies down there, and I think it was Olivier RWC, the first lieutenant to Philippe Saint-Andre.
Well, possibly the happiest man on the French side at that moment was Olivier Merle. He took a wonderful line-out ball, created the opportunity for the French to drive. And just look, England don't have an answer to this. Really the rolling maul proving how successful it can be in the right opportunity. French forwards getting all behind. Benazir lends his hand, and in the end it's, well, Olivier RWC is credited with the try, and he'll be very, very pleased with that one.
Well, that's a great strike for Pierre Berbizier and his French team. The first real opportunity for a thrust at the line for either side, and it was gratefully accepted by the French. Well, of course, that scoreline just suddenly surges 2 for France. They lead 14 points to 6 with this kick to come. Almost from exactly the position that he kicked the last one, Thierry Lacroix. Has that swung too much from Lacroix? It's off the upright. Well, that's 8 points are the difference between the two teams. Now, just 19 minutes left for Olivier RWC. Will this be the first time that he's played in a successful French team against England? Rodber's there, so is RWC.
Get back.
Lots of time there for Jean-Luc SADOURNY. This is where the French can be really dangerous, when they get in front like this and they're given latitude. What will be the English answer? Well, now England have a chance to get themselves back, and surely they will kick it goal with Rob Andrew. Perhaps the French just getting a little bit excited there, Tony, and giving away that penalty.
Well, we were hoping that that try was going to be the start of a sparkling match from these two teams, and you can just see as big Martin Johnson goes up for that ball. He's pushed, gets a little bit of an arm under the elbow, and Rob Andrew has another attempt here.
Well, the French have brought this 44,000 crowd alive as well. That's the Mexican wave, and there's great cheering in the stadium. Now a kick of great importance for England and Rob Andrew, and that's there. Well, it's taken 60 minutes to get this crowd moving, and of course the French as well. But England not to be denied. It's only 5 points is the difference, and both teams will have to guard against giving away penalties. But the French will charge at the English line on every opportunity. Lacroix to ROUMAT, that's the tap from him, and that's a great take that from BENEZECH. Once again they go, ROUMAT's in the middle of it, Olivier MERLE comes in last. This is Galti. Well, that was good refereeing by David Bishop, because he saw that there was no ways the ball was going to come out, and the French will have the advantage of the put-in because they carried it into that ruck, and despite those statistics, the French have grabbed the opportunities and used them well.
What a wonderful tap down by Olivier ROUMAT there as we saw the French surge onto attack.
Now the switch in, and then Laurent Caban can't take. There's plenty of possession coming France's way, but now England have it. This is Rob Andrew.
Well, how England have that man to thank. He's taken them from the most defensive of situations right up onto the attacking ones, and he sees England up on the halfway line. And so often he's able to relieve pressure from the most abysmal situations for the England side.
France choose ROUMAT and Benazzi in the lineouts against the two English locks. And Tim Rodber standing off at the back. Gonzalez, but Rodber takes well. That was good play by England. It was a good counter to have the big man from Northampton at the back. Just 16 minutes left for those 30 men out there for Rugby World Cup 95. MESNEL, this is Lacroix. Now, what can Michael CATT do? Well, probably not too much, because there's nobody close in to support him. Taken by SADOURNY. SADOURNY, he's also big and strong. That ball was knocked on there by Siganya. England are getting possession in these situations, but not finding their way through. This is Rob Andrew, almost out of frustration. Taking some pressure off his midfield and looking for space himself. But the French defensive pattern has not been found wanting this afternoon.
Well, their defence has been outstanding. They really have closed that space, as we've said so many times this evening. And just on that occasion, French forwards going to ground. England also not able to produce the ball that quickly. And in the end, a little knock-on by France ensures that the scrum goes England's way.
Well, can we see something positive from England? They were in the middle of the field. This is Tim Rodber. Scragged by Laurent Caban initially. England will want to make something of this. This is Rob Andrew. That was a good flick on there from DEWI Morris. Now Jeremy Guscott. England have really got to try and get the ball wider if at all possible, and a little bit earlier. Rodber always predictable in his running, and then this is Michael CATT. There's been some great tackling by the Frenchman. And Sigania just with a little tip kick through, and then, well, Jean-Luc SADOURNY, the man all in picture, he's really had an outstanding game for France.
Well, we saw there as France went in for that ball that was just bobbing up and down this left-hand touchline, and really just the bounce beating SADOURNY there. The possession again showing that France have lost a great deal of possession, 24 odd opportunities. Well, the big number 8 in his first game this afternoon for France shows that he's got ample skills with a foot. And in the end, SADOURNY just can't gather as the ball bobs into touch.
Oh, Tony, we keep talking about afternoons and evenings. It's really quite confusing, isn't it? But we're in the early evening here at Loftus Versfeld. A short hold up there for an injury to one of the French players. It was CALIFANO. Morris's hoist. Well, that was out now. Philippe Saint-Andre says, but he kicked that from outside his 22. The referee and the touch judge disagree. Crowd would love to see him show his paces as well. 10.9 for the 100 meters. Philippe Saint-Andre, captain of the day for France. Gonzalez has been very accurate with his throwing in for France, and he's been helped by Berbizier at the back on occasions. Now England get it once again. This is Rob Andrew. Well, that's the first probe into the French 22 for some time. And England really needs some form of catalyst to inject the enthusiasm and the necessary confidence into them to take on this very well organized French defensive pattern.
Well, I think it's going to take the use of Michael CATT at fullback, possibly to look to break the line. We haven't seen him run with the ball too much. On the odd opportunity, he's put the up and under up. And it may be useful to see him running into the back line, creating space. He's got two useful wings outside him. Let's hope we see Rory Underwood with a chance to run.
England bring Tim Rodber to the front, and that releases Berbizier at the back. This is great running from SADOURNY. He just loves to run with the ball. Then MESNEL gets through, and then Rodber scrags. SADOURNY's back again. That man's all over the field. Great ball for France. Now, can they make something of this? MESNEL comes back inside again. Sigania, then ROUMAT. Well, that ball was purposely knocked down there by Rory Underwood. There's a free kick being given to France.
Well, the difference between these two sides this evening has been that France have chosen to make those vital passes just before the tackle, and England have seemingly gone into the tackle, gone to ground, and lost opportunities to score.
Well, MESNEL, one wonders just where that ball was meant to go, but it's turned up to be an outstanding kick from him. That's the hero of the occasion. Now, can we see a carbon copy, although it's the England throw-in? Can we see a carbon copy of the jumping from Olivier MERLE?
Well, perhaps Olivier ROUMAT will return the compliment to his lock partner as we see this ball takes just the right bounce, and well, MESNEL couldn't ask for better.
Well, Olivier ROUMAT will be really pleased because he's never been on a winning side against England for France in those many internationals he's played. Will this be the first time? Moore with a vital throw in. That was a great jump from Martin Johnson. Wasn't that much room to move for Rob Andrew with Laurent Caban breathing down his neck.
Rob Andrew asked DEWI Morris, was there something wrong with that pass? It wasn't where I wanted it. And obviously the communication between the two is such that he expects it to be put right in the breadbasket.
Well, that man, Pierre Berbizier, has played scrum half for France in Rugby World Cup 87. Man of great emotion and elated with the performance thus far in the match by France. 14 points to 9 they lead. 9 minutes left as ROUMAT goes up. Throwing a skew. England will have the advantage of the put-in. Jean-Michel Gonzalez at hooker for France has been so accurate with his throw-ins. Will this be a big 8-man scrum from France? That's one of the few occasions that I've seen the England pack tested in Rugby World Cup 95. You must remember that France have a powerful front row with BENEZECH, CALIFANO, and the big Gonzalez in the middle. All feet back for France, but England do well. This is Morris's kick. Philippe Saint-Andre can't take. Now can England make something of this, because there will be some advantage for them if they can. Morris. Well, no advantage for England. They'll come back for the penalty of France being offsides.
A little bit of luck going the way of DEWI Morris there, as he looked to find touch and instead ended up with a high up and under. And from your own goal line, not the ideal situation to be in.
Oh, poor Rob Andrew, difficult situation for him. That's also just a loss of confidence. That kick screwing off his boot.
1741.
Well, England just have 8 minutes to rescue something of this game as OJOMOH takes for the 4th time in the match in the lineouts. Done sterling work for them. He's found 4 occasions without a marker against him. Now France have the put-in.
The England forward starting to look a little bit tired this evening as they edge themselves into the last 8 or so minutes of Rugby World Cup 1995. And how dearly these teams would like to go away with a victory. It'll make that plane trip back to Europe that much better and lift the spirits of both teams.
Ganya controls at the back. This is Galti. Rob Andrew takes the mark. It was a brave take by the England fly half. Now can England make something of this? Well, Rob Andrew is not to be blamed for that. He had very little close-in support, and the French organised themselves so well in terms of getting between the ball carrier and the catcher. The try will get England up to the French scoreline. Looks like Tercer Puesto, who's down on the ground. But also an opportunity for a little breather for both teams. Is in fact Philippe Saint-ANDRE. Lots of experience for the world's most capped player. That's a great scrum from France on the England put-in.
Well, again, we see that there's a very quick heel by Brian Moore there, but in securing the ball at the back of the scrum, the England forwards just stepping back, and France getting the lean and not securing good possession for DEWI Morris.
Rodber looks to stand off. Was that wise for England? They kept it steady enough. Now they've got men in numbers on the far side. This is COLIN. Great tackling there by the French midfield. MESNEL keeps possession. Assistance coming there from Emile Intermac. Well, one feels sure that France will be happy just to keep England down in their half of the field with just 5 minutes of normal playing time left.
Will COLIN knifed through 2 holes last week against the All Blacks, but this evening finding it difficult to penetrate the French defence, and on that occasion putting the ball under one arm, possibly the better option to keep it in both hands, look for the pass. He had numbers outside him, and he had indeed Rory Underwood looking for a run.
Well, one feels that England should have moved the ball out further. This is Rory Underwood now. England have tried to bridge that midfield presence of France, and there really is nothing to get through there instead of playing it wider. some of the second and third phase ball that they've got. They've had those opportunities and haven't used them. Michael CATT, this is Rob Andrew, just swamped by blue jerseys on every occasion when they pick up. COLIN, this is Ben CLARKE. There was good pressure coming from the Frenchman after the tackle on England in terms of letting the ball, or making sure that the ball didn't come out in any form of quality for England.
And although England were making good use of their possession, they really weren't there in numbers, and you can just see that the forwards are looking a little fatigued. 2 or 3 of them at the breakdown instead of the normal 6 or 7.
I'll give credit to France because they've lacked in the percentage statistics for possession and territory throughout this match. Michael CATT takes Intermac, just breezes past him. I'll give credit to Tim Rodber there because he was in to support the England fullback so quickly.
Thierry Lacroix's kick there was to precision. It fell almost a yard outside the 22. And Michael CATT was thus unable to make a mark. As he looked to call for one, the referee clearly adjudged that he was outside the 22.
Now England have got to try and find space somewhere, but they've been unable to do that throughout this game. Maybe the little tap kick somewhere along the line, but they prefer to keep it in hand. That's Brian Moore, Rob Andrew again. Well, it might take some sort of catalyst for England. That's Mike CATT at the back that goes through with the initial thrust. DEWI Morris is just all over the field.
Well, England are making it relatively easy for the French side to defend against them. Whenever they get into a situation where there's a one-on-one tackle, they go to ground very easily. And as defenders, it allows you the opportunity to spread out. You only have to have one man at the breakdown. And that's why they're not finding too many holes in this French defence.
Well, I suppose that using the boot to bridge that first line of defence is sometimes also not wise with a man like Jean-Luc Soudanais at the back, who's a great attacker. England feel more comfortable with the ball in hand when attacking if they're not launching those up and unders. Now, can Morris spark something with OJOMOH at the back? Quick move down the back line. This is CATT. French are like hungry wolves on that loose ball. That's Philippe Salah. Lacroix just punting it over the goal line and wasting a little bit more time. 1 minute of ordinary playing time left, then France lead by 14 points to 9. CATT's wasting time for England. Oh, the pensive mood there of Pierre Berbizier. Well, that's the official time clock then showing that the 80 minutes are up. There's been a little bit of injury time. But England now will have to score a try to beat France. Taken by Galti. This is Intermac. Intermac's a big, strong man. Intermac will score.
Well, Intermac's shown signs this evening that he's hungry to score a try, and that occasion there he shows his speed and ability to come off his right foot. Steps inside 2 tackles, one of them by Rory Underwood. And in the end, well, that's the try that France were looking for. Just look at the speed of the man. The break made initially by Fabien Galti slips out of 1 tackle, comes off the right foot a second time, and showing the kind of strength that we've come to expect from a lot of the wingers playing in this Rugby World Cup 1995.
Well, both teams have had well-organised defence for most of the game, but England were found wanting there, and that their battleship has now been sunk. A relaxing enough situation for Thierry Lacroix. 19 points to 9, France lead with this kick to come. 2 steps and then 3 forward, but there's a charge down. Well, that's an interesting situation, and that give credit to England there. That was Rob Andrew. This was the try then. Now watch Emile Intermac. He steps off his right foot, and England were really guilty of poorly organised defence there in getting over. Well, there was a kick charge down of Lacroix, and this is the man in picture. Sella can't take it. Bated breath from the crowd. Was that going to be the final whistle? Credit to Rob Andrew for charging that kick down. He's certainly not going to give up, but the cause is lost for England.
Well, Will Carling looks to be receiving some attention down on the field, and he's had a tough battle out there this evening against his old opponent, Philippe Saint-ANDRE. And just look at the Frenchman on the bench there. Great support from the team that came to the World Cup. There's no great expectations and look to be the third finished placed.
OJOMOH's Swamper blue jerseys. Well, England are really going to have to try and run this at the goal line and rescue some pride. But the difference is 10 points and there's no time to score 2 tries. Can they get one? Well, Tony, will this be the last scrum of Rugby World Cup 95 for both England and France?
Well, you can bet that there are 16 forwards out there that are relishing the opportunity to sit back and relax for a couple of months.
Morris trying on his own as he's done throughout this match. Tim Rodber carries through. Now can they spread it wide enough and quickly enough? No, this is Guscott. Once again, Rory Underwood is starved of possession on the outside. Bayfield carries through. Andrew. SADOURNY at the back. He's normally been a great securer of possession, but England have another chance. Morris on the ground, but the French will not be bothered by the fact that they've given away a penalty. Quick take by England. Can they stretch it wide? This is Ben Clark. Well, give credit to MESNEL, Sella and Lacroix, who've tackled like demons in the midfield for France. Andrew. This is Hunter. Well, they'll come back for a penalty which is going to be given against PHILIPPE SAINT-ANDRE. The referee says that the next time there will be a penalty try, but England take quickly. This is Rodber. Morris. OJOMOH, Obogu, and then OJOMOH. Well, that's then the final whistle, with England pressing against France, but France have won this match by 19 points to 9. One feels almost deservedly so. They've made most of the running. They scored the only tries in the match, those by ROUMAT and Emile Intermac, and France have secured the opportunity of a permanent place in Rugby World Cup 99 in Wales. Plus, it's the first time that they have beaten England since 1988, that victory in Paris by 10 points to 9. And what a big day for Olivier ROUMAT, Tony Watson, who has never played up until today in a winning French side against England.